There's a pattern in the Bible most people never notice. Jesus fasted for 40 days, and after the 40, Satan was defeated. Moses stayed on the mountain for 40 days, and after the 40 came revelation. Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, and after the 40 came freedom. Jonah warned Nineveh for 40 days, and after the 40 came mercy. So what is it about 40? Because throughout the Bible, God often allows a season of testing before a season of transformation. And maybe that's why your life has felt uncomfortable lately. Maybe you're not being punished. Maybe you're in your 40, the exhausting season, the silent season, the season where nothing makes sense, the season where doors close, prayers feel delayed, and you wonder where God is. But here's the problem. Everybody wants the 41, but nobody wants the 40. Everybody wants the breakthrough. Nobody wants the wilderness that produces it. Everybody wants freedom. Nobody wants the process that prepares them for it. But throughout Scripture, God repeatedly used the wilderness before the promise. And some of you keep asking God to remove the wilderness, not realizing the wilderness is where you met Him. Because let's be honest, you didn't know God deeply when life was comfortable. You knew Him when the doors closed, and He made a way. You knew Him when you ran out of strength, and somehow He still carried you. You knew Him when nobody else stayed, but His presence remained. Some prayers are only born in the wilderness. Some revelations only happen in the wilderness. Some versions of you could only be created in the wilderness. And maybe that's why God allowed it, because you wanted comfort. But God wanted transformation. You wanted immediate answers, but God wanted deeper dependence. You wanted the blessing quickly, but God was preparing your character first. The desert did not destroy you. It revealed who was truly sustaining you. And maybe the reason this season has been so painful is because God is removing everything you depended on more than Him. Because sometimes God will remove comfort just so you can finally recognize His presence. And listen carefully. The 40 was never meant to be permanent. The wilderness was preparation. The silence was preparation. The waiting was preparation. The breaking was preparation. Because after the 40, something changes. After the 40, revelation comes, freedom comes, strength comes, clarity comes, and the version of you that walks into the 41 is not the same person that entered the 40. So, if your life feels heavy right now, if you feel tired, confused, spiritually exhausted, don't quit in the wilderness. Because throughout the Bible, God often did His greatest work after the 40. And maybe your 41 is closer than you think. And here's what many people never realize about the wilderness. The wilderness is not only where God tests you, it's where He exposes you. Because when everything is stripped away, your distractions, your comfort, your plans, your control, what remains is who you truly are. That's why the wilderness feels so uncomfortable. Because it forces you to confront things you were able to ignore when life was easy. Your fears, your pride, your dependence on people, your hidden idols, your need to control everything. And some of you keep rebuking the very season God is trying to use to transform you. Because you keep praying, God, get me out, while God is saying, no, I'm trying to change you in it. And that's hard to hear, because nobody likes the process of being broken. Nobody enjoys uncertainty. Nobody enjoys waiting. But brokenness has a purpose. Because some people only seek God deeply when they finally realize nothing else can save them. And maybe that's why God allowed the wilderness, not to destroy you, but to remove every false thing you were depending on. Because some of you trusted money more than God. Some trusted relationships more than God. Some trusted comfort more than obedience. And the wilderness exposed it. The wilderness reveals what truly has your heart. That's why many people meet God most deeply after loss, after heartbreak, after failure, after disappointment, because suffering has a way of removing illusions. And suddenly, the things you thought mattered most no longer satisfy your soul. That's when people stop playing games with God. That's when prayer becomes real. That's when worship becomes desperate. That's when dependence becomes genuine. And maybe your 40 was never punishment. Maybe it was purification. Maybe God was preparing you for a version of your life that could not exist without this process first. Because after the wilderness, people walk differently. They pray differently. They see differently. They trust differently. Why? Because the wilderness introduces you to a version of God comfort never could. So don't despise your 40, because your 41 may carry the very breakthrough God has been preparing all along. You keep mourning what died in the 40, while heaven is preparing what's waiting in the 41.